Is your color season bright winter? Do you want to know how to maximize your palette through your body type? Let's talk about being a bright winter and mixing those recommendations with your Kibbe body type. So, as a disclaimer, none of these styles are representations of silhouettes that the Kibbe body type should be wearing, but more so color recommendations coinciding with the color palette of a bright winter. So, get your head out of the silhouette piece. So, for those who are dramatic in body type, you're going to want to go for the darkest and the brightest colors. Um, you're going to generally do monochrome. If you want to do patterns, you can also utilize animal prints. And this is a really cool way to incorporate bold, bright, vivid colors from your palette and incorporate them into like zebra and cheetah and leopard print, which is going to be super cool. You can see those here. You're also going to stick with the darkest colors because you're yang dominant. If you decide to do like the light or the pastel colors in your palette, make sure you stick with the monochrome vibe. Here's what it looks like for a soft dramatic to maximize the color palette. You can see here they're sticking with the brightest and most vivid colors in their palette. They're going to avoid color blocking and watercolor-esque colors, so they want their colors to be super dark, vivid, and rich and bright, like jewel tones. So here's what it looks like when a flamboyant natural will maximize on their color palette as a bright winter. They're going to be doing unusual color combos. So color combos you wouldn't typically do. So like kind of like this dark navy and lime green combination. That's not something you would typically think. Or like this super rich, bold orange with this like light lavender, lilac color. That's what you want to go for. When you're incorporating neutrals, you're going to want to make sure they're very rich neutrals. And you're going to avoid colors in the palette that are too muted. You want to stick with the boldness and the brightness. My soft natural girlies are going to stick with bright and rich colors. They're not going to do too much on the contrast. And here's where it gets a little weird, because soft natural recommendations for colors is like very little contrast. So you're going to stick with either light and bright colors, as you can see, or a combination of dark and bright, vivid colors. But you're typically not going to mix the two. However, as a bright winter, contrast is one of your dominant features. So you're not going to lean too far away from that Kibbe recommendation there, but you are going to turn up the contrast in a little bit just to honor the dominant features of your color season. So if you look up at the very top, the white and the hot pink combination adds a little bit of contrast, but not enough to upset your Kibbe balance. That's kind of how you want to do that. My dramatic classics are going to live in the dark neutrals. Bright winter dark neutral palette is a little bland, in my opinion. So you're going to work with a lot of different color blues and blacks and charcoals and grays. And you're not going to do full monochrome, but you are going to do minimal detail. So you can play around with using one color as an accent. So if you see here that like bright green is kind of used as an accent color, and that bright purple as well, which kind of takes away from like a monochrome look. You can even see this here with the charcoal and the navy. You want to have a consistent accent. And if you're going to do lighter colors or pastels, make sure the fabric is a little heavier. My soft classic girlies are going to stick with the light neutrals of the palette and the pastels. Heavy on those light neutrals. Now, which is really cool because a lot of the light neutrals are shades of white and light grays. And where you're going to really shine as a soft classic, you're not going to do monochrome, but your way of doing minimal detail is going to be soft monochrome. So like playing with the grayscale is going to be a really fun thing for you to do as a bright winter. But again, as a bright winter, you do require contrast. So pairing white with a pastel is a really cool way to create a little bit of contrast to honor your dominant features in your color season, but also not stray too far away from your Kibbe recommendations. Another way to do that is using a gradient, because it also kind of looks like a soft monochrome, like we're fading from white into the pastel, which looks a little smoother. My gamine girlies gonna have a great time. My flamboyant gamine girlies are gonna stick with the boldest and brightest and most vivid colors, and their focus is definitely going to be on color blocking. Color blocking with colors, adding different patterns, creating contrast wherever they can. Color blocking is going to be their biggest thing. They're going to avoid monochrome. They can mix light and dark. They can also do one accent colors with a variety of different bold colors, which is just super fun. And they can pattern mix and color block all day. They can't screw this up. My soft and mean girlies are going to do a lot of the same thing. They're going to focus less on the color blocking, but more so on the contrast, which is going to lead you to color blocking, right? In a lot of ways, especially if you're going to contrast like black and white. That's their thing. Soft means are going to really focus on the contrast piece of the mixing and matching and adding bold colors and bright colors. They get to mix light and dark. They just get to have a lot of fun with it. And so here's some cool examples of them doing that as a bright winter. My theatrical romantics are going to do a lot of the same things that soft camines are doing in terms of bright and vivid colors, mixing dark colors with brighter colors. That's really the thing that ties the two together when it comes to color recommendations. Theatrical romantics and soft camines are required to pair dark colors with bright and vivid colors instead of just wearing all dark colors. However, they're going to incorporate more pastels, and they don't have to focus as much on contrast as soft camines do, but they do still have to do some contrast because they are bright winters. So my romantic girlies are going to stick with the brightest and lightest colors in the palette, mixing that with ornate detail. And where they're going to get their contrast from is little pops of color. But even if you see Rihanna up here in this icy purple, she has kind of like the black in the beading, which creates that contrast that they desperately need as bright winters. Again, if you need help finding your color season, come talk to me. I definitely aid people in doing that, and I give styling advice and styling tips through my coaching calls. So click the link in bio and we can talk pricing and services. I hope to see you soon. Bye.